Hey everyone, I'm Olivia McCoy, a book publicist and marketing associate at Smith Publicity, and you're tuned in to So Booking Cool.
So fucking cool.
It's so motherfucking cool to listen to So Booking Cool.
Welcome to So Booking Cool, it's Jewel B. Today's guest is a book publicist and marketing associate whose clients have appeared in the New York Times and Fast Company, to name a few. She is also the host of Smith Publicity's All Things Book Marketing podcast. She is Olivia McCoy.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for making the time and coming on, Olivia. It's great to have you. So, are you reading anything interesting lately?
I just finished reading Iron Widow, which was an incredible fantasy read. But I also have been reading a lot of books about books, so a little bit meta for our industry. Been really into bookseller memoirs.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Like Sean Bythell, he is a bookseller in Wigtown in Scotland, and he has kept journal entries from his time running his little bookstore. And so it's got just like a lot of fun characters. I mean, I say characters, they're real people. Fun anecdotes from running a bookstore, as well as Once Upon a Tome by Oliver Darkshire. That's from Southrons in England, I believe. And it's just, booksellers are so interesting and fun and a little bit jaded, which is why I love them so much. But they're always great anecdotes. They always have the best stories.
Wow, that is fascinating. I'll have to check that out. You know, a memoir by a bookseller. I'm sure that they have plenty to say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow. What would you say makes them kind of jaded a little bit?
I think just dealing with the public. I mean, most people are wonderful and great intentions, but there's always those that come in and try to haggle. I worked at a bookstore for a few months back in grad school, and there's always people that come in and they want to argue the price of a book, or they get frustrated if you don't have the book that they're looking for, something like that. And so there's always just a little bit of like, I have to deal with the public, a little bit of that sarcastic. You kind of have to take on a more humorous view of the world. Almost, you have to kind of play it like it's a scene in a book sometimes, just to get through the day.
Oh, I like that. Play it as if it's a scene in a book. So you did mention that you have a background in book selling. When did your relationship with books begin?
Oh gosh, always. I have always been a reader. I think there was probably a few months back in kindergarten that I wanted to be a pop star or a ballerina, but then ever since then, it was going to be books. I wanted to be a poet all of late elementary school through to, I would say, halfway through high school. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an editor. This is where I'm going to go. It's my passion. It's my career path. And then in college and in some of the internships I had right after college, I kind of fell into book marketing, and that's just been my niche. It's been my passion, my love, all of my energy goes towards it. It's just always been what I've wanted to do.
So do you no longer want to be a pop star? You're like, I found my calling.
No, I'm very, very happy being podcast host. That's as much of the limelight as I'm looking to get into. Really helping other authors find their limelight has been a dream.
Oh, so the books that you did enjoy when you were younger, do you enjoy those books now? And are those the kind of books that you work on?
Yeah, I mean, I work on every genre, every type of book from every publishing path. I would say I've worked with, gosh, I can't think of a single genre that I haven't worked with to some degree, whether it was a consultation or a marketing campaign or publicity. I would say poetry was my first love, especially as a kid. Emily Dickinson is always going to have a special place in my heart. And I do collect Emily Dickinson editions now. Whenever I go to a used bookstore, I'll try and find an edition I don't already own. And I work less with poetry today, but I still work with a lot of fiction, a lot of YA, and a lot of children's and middle grade books, the same kind of books that I grew up reading. And I absolutely adore it. I still have a bit of like a fan moment every time I meet with an author. I'm like, oh my gosh, as a reader, I'm so excited to meet you. As a professional, I'm cool, calm, and collected. But there's always a bit of that excitement that I'm meeting someone who's going to mean so much to another reader out there.
And with the different hats that you wear, you know, being a book marketer, a book publicist, a book podcaster, you know, a book consultant, because you're also consulting with the work that you do. Is there any overlap between the roles? And what's your favorite thing about it, about those different hats?
Oh my gosh, yes. I usually say in book promotion, there's three main pieces. You have earned, owned, and paid media, which is really just earned publicity, owned branding, and paid marketing. And you really need all three of those to find success in promoting your book. And so they work together. You know, paid is going to help you get those impressions. You need anywhere around 10 impressions for someone to make a purchasing decision. So you want the impressions. Earned is also going to help you get those impressions with publicity. That's getting you in front of, getting you in people's eyes. You know, they're going to see you, they're going to see your book. They're going to say, oh my gosh, I've seen this book everywhere. I have to get it. Now's the time. And then owned is all your branding, your social media, your website, everything that you're putting out there to show the value that you're bringing in your work. And so they all go hand in hand and they overlap really quite nicely. And I think that's what I get really excited to see is like any one piece is great to have on its own, but when they come together, you really start seeing momentum build up and you really start seeing the public get excited about your work. And that's just always really, really fun for me as a professional to see. And I love to share in the joy and the excitement. I think my favorite part of the job is probably author education. That's where I feel like I bring the most value in my work, is being able to answer questions and help authors figure out the publishing process, because it is confusing and it is really complex and convoluted, just publishing in general. And so to be able to share that knowledge and answer questions and help someone have a little bit more fun putting out their book is always just a great time.
When you start your working relationship with authors, do you make it a point to try to get to each other, to try to get to know each other? It doesn't immediately just jump into, let's start working on the book.
So authors fill out a really long author questionnaire when they get started with us. So we do jump into the relationship knowing them quite well. We take a look at their website, their social media, their platforms, their branding. We take a look at the book and what is their messaging? What are their goals? Who is their ideal audience? What are they looking to see from working with us? So we go in knowing them quite well, but I do like to start every conversation with an author saying, you know, I've read your questionnaire, so that all that hard work, it paid off. I've read it. I'm very familiar, but tell me a little bit more about you personally in your own words. Tell me, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish? How can I help support you? And then that tends to give us a little bit more of a relationship to work off of, because it really is a relationship that we're working from. And then I always introduce myself and talk a little bit about my background with books and what I'm most excited to be working on with them too. And hopefully that helps us jumpstart into something really productive.
Have you ever sensed or experienced any authors being nervous if this was their first time being on this journey before? And if so, what do you do to kind of get them to overcome those nerves?
Oh my gosh, incredibly often an author will come with some nerves or anxiousness, and that's totally normal. I mean, this is their baby that they're putting out into the world. It's something they've worked so hard on. And for a lot of authors, it is a passion project, and it's something that they've spent most of their life, or at least a good chunk of their life, working on. And so I get that there's going to be anxiety there. I would be if I were an author, and I'm not, because I don't have the bravery to put something out like that. It's really incredible that they do it at all. And so really going into it and reassuring them that you're not alone in this process. Other people are also anxious and nervous. You're not the first one. You won't be the last one. I also say, I know a lot of people will say it's not a race, it's a marathon. But recently someone on the podcast told me it's not even a marathon, because once you're an author for life. There's no finish line. There's no end in sight. You are forever putting forward that brand. And so thinking about it as a way it's not temporary. It's who you are moving forward. And then that helps to be authentic. I'm also not a professional that's going to say do everything all at once. I'm going to say, let's find the areas that you actually enjoy, that you're looking forward to, that you don't absolutely loathe, and let's spend our time and energy there to avoid burnout. Let's have some fun with it, because I personally feel like promoting the book and sharing it with the world is one of the best parts about publishing, because that's when you get to see everyone else get excited with you.
So when it comes to, authors as they're working on their book, do you recommend that they set out time every day to write, or whenever inspiration hits them?
I think it really depends on the person. For some people, they need that regiment. They need that habit of writing every day, and that's where they find comfort and solace, that routine. For some people, it really is kind of a spurt of inspiration or passion. I do typically recommend that authors have some kind of archive of content that they're working with. And again, I don't really work with the editorial writing of the book part, so I'm not super involved with the creation of the book from the beginning all the time. Sometimes, but not frequently. So I'm usually talking about social media content, website content, blog content, newsletter content. And so if you have a few hours one weekend, just sit down and write a ton of blog posts or a ton of content that you can pull from on the weeks that you're a little more tired or a little more overwhelmed with other things going on in your life, then I always recommend that. But if you have a regiment, if you have a routine that works for you, then stick with that. Whatever works for you is what's going to work best for you. And I'm never going to get in the way of that process for each individual.
Now, as an expert who promotes the books and publicizes the books, do you ever have authors coming to you about any ideas about creating buzz for their books?
Oh, yeah. We really, really lean on authors coming to us with ideas and generally just excitement on how to promote their book. I know we know the book space. We know the book community, we know the industry, but authors, they know their target audience, they know their niche, they know their expertise, especially nonfiction authors who are in finance or business or a memoir. I mean, they're the expert in their own life and their own knowledge, everything they have. I have no idea what any of that is like as someone that's not them. So we really, really do lean on the author's expertise, the author's experience to educate what we're doing to promote the book. And so it really is a partnership that we're coming into, working together. It's not us working for them or them following our advice. It's really us coming together and talking about, what are some of the angles that we think are going to impact readers the most? Who are the people that we're reaching out to, and when and where are they? And so we'll come into it with what we know, they come into it with what they know, and that's what makes success.
Oh, I love that. You believe in being collaborative. That's great.
100%.
Do you think, Olivia, that in order for someone to become skilled in their profession, regardless of what it is, that work needs to be put in outside of one's work hours?
It's a really difficult question, because I do believe in a work-life balance wholeheartedly. And so does Smith. They've been an incredible company to work for, just in believing in us having a life outside of the job in the industry, especially as people who love what we do. I mean, people don't often go into publishing looking to make money or to make a name for themselves. They go into it for the love of the work. So it's really important that we are able to put those boundaries in place so that we don't let it take over our whole lives, because it'd be really easy to do. And so I think that is the same for authors. I think enjoy it to the extent that you enjoy it. There's always going to be some amount of drudgery or tedious task that you don't like as part of the process. It's unavoidable. But ultimately, burnout is the biggest enemy, and we never, ever, ever want an author to burn out. It's why we don't recommend they're on every social media platform. It's why we don't recommend that they are available to us 24/7 during a publicity campaign. We make sure that we're listening to them and where their boundaries are. I think for full-time authors, It's definitely important to set your own boundaries, especially because there isn't a 9 to 5 or set hours to work. If you're writing on top of a full-time job, then that's even harder. And that's when you really need to have some kind of team or support system to lean on, not necessarily professionals if that's not the route you decide to go, but friends, family, anyone that can be your cheerleader, be your support, be a listening ear. Lean on others, make sure you're setting boundaries that are safe and comfortable for you, and continue to enjoy the process. It should never feel too much like work. It should always have something about it that you really enjoy and are excited to share.
And you mentioned that Smith Publicity is good with understanding that there needs to be a work-life balance. Speaking of Smith Publicity, when did you join the company and how has it been? And how do you think you all are, unique compared to some of the other publishing businesses?
I've been with Smith just under 2 years now. I came in September of 2021. So I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary.
Nice.
And I came in as a book publicist and marketing associate, and I came in right after grad school with prior experience in the industry working in marketing. And it's just been an incredible journey, an incredible experience. I feel like I've learned so much from Smith, and I'm on the fiction team, so I've learned so much from my boss Andrea and from other people on my team, but also from other teams and other departments. I work really closely with business development, with leadership, with admin, with the business team, the lifestyle team. I mean, we're always partnering on campaigns, working together. You're never alone in anything you're doing, and I love that collaboration piece, and it does extend into our relationships with our clients. I know I've already spoken a little bit to that partnership and collaboration, but it truly is one of the core values for Smith Publicity is collaboration, partnership. We're always working together. We're working as a team, both with our clients and with each other. I've seen a lot of opportunity for growth and improvement. We're really, really good at listening to each other and learning from each other, regardless of how long you've been with the company. Everyone's coming in with different experiences. Some people are coming from a promotion publicity background. Some people are coming from a book industry background, and melding those together has really helped Smith to thrive. Even during COVID, we found that we were holding strong, leaning on each other's strengths. We've been in the business for just over 25 years now. So we're not going anywhere. We're always going to be around. And we're excited to continue growing our offerings for authors and learning from them, growing with them, and with the industry as a whole.
That is wonderful. That's definitely an accomplishment. 25 years? Yes.
I know. Dan Smith started it way back from his house way back in the day, and he's still involved. He's retired now, our founder, but he's still involved. He brings in chicken eggs.
Oh.
He's got a little chicken farm, so he brings in his eggs every now and then, so we get to come home with fresh eggs.
You mean real, actual chicken eggs?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
We're on Threads now, and I've been really big about sharing the chicken journey, the chicken lifestyle with our Thread followers. We're really into chickens here at Smith.
Hey, I'm not mad at that at all. And with the longevity of Smith, you guys have this podcast, and for at least a decade, you guys have been putting out videos that gives people insights to the industry. And just tell us more about the podcast that you host, All Things Book Marketing.
Yeah, All Things Book Marketing. It's a twice a month podcast where we interview industry experts to help educate authors and general listenership. We started bringing on people within Smith as well. So we have our open book episodes that is interviewing my colleagues and partners here at Smith for their expertise, because I don't know everything. And so I'm always going to lean on them to bring in stuff, as well as inviting experts outside of Smith Publicity to come and talk and answer questions. We usually try to hit on trends that we see in the industry. What are people talking about? What are people asking about? Especially leaning on questions that are asked during campaigns and consultations. So if we see, for example, a lot of people are having questions about copyright or the legality or permissions, then okay, let's bring on a literary lawyer. Let's have them answer these questions, because we can do the research, we can find out for you, but we can also lean on people that already have that experience and expertise and bring in new voices and elevate new voices, experiences, and perspectives. And that's a really big goal with all things book marketing, is elevating those voices and just offering tips, insights, and advice from industry experts.
What do you find that most people who aspire to be authors and or publishing professionals are most interested in knowing?
Ooh. For authors, I feel like for me, I most get asked, how much time can I expect to spend on this? Do I need to be doing everything all at once? And the answer is always going to be no. Let's find the places that you enjoy or might enjoy. Let's focus our energy and attention there. Let's figure out what works for you and go from there, because I'm always going to say consistency over quantity. For industry professionals, I get asked quite a bit, how did you get started? Where can I get my foot in the door? What do I need to do to get involved? And that's such a hard thing to answer, because everyone's journey is so different. You know, some people just fall into it. They fall into this career. They were like, well, there was an open position. I applied, I got it, and here I am, and I love every day. And some people actively labor and try to get into the industry through all these internships and one-off jobs and any connections they can make. And I do think it really depends on your background. I do think it depends on your experiences. But if you have a love of books, you're gonna find a way in. I mean, we're an incredibly open community, and we're so excited to talk to book people all the time. No one's ever gonna be like, oh, you like books too, but not as much as me. So, you know, hold it right there. They're always gonna be welcoming you in and trying to find a place for you in the industry. So just continue to make connections, get to know people, utilize LinkedIn, because we're still on LinkedIn. And go to bookstore events, go to community events, and get to know authors, get to know other professionals, get to know people, really utilize those resources and reach out with those questions. We love informational interviews, and we want to help out as much as we can.
Now, since the pandemic, are you still working virtually, or is it hybrid? How has that been?
We are a hybrid company, so we work from home Mondays and Fridays, and we're in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But we do have a lot of our publicists who are completely, entirely remote. They're not even in the same state. I know we have a publicist in Denver, we have publicists in New York and Massachusetts and Florida and North Carolina. I mean, we're kind of spread out everywhere. But we found that we don't necessarily need to be in the office together or to communicate and collaborate together. That being said, we do really love being in the office together, and we try and bring people together as much as possible, especially for holidays. We try and bring people in. Last year for 25th anniversary, we actually took a company trip to Florida, which was really exciting. So we got to meet people that we may not have met in person before, and just get to know each other more on a personal level and connect that way. But for now, we're hybrid and we're really enjoying it. We just have this new office space and it's gorgeous. We're very excited about it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's always good to hear.
Yeah.
And with the way society is moving and everything, I can totally see how it's like, yeah, working remotely, it doesn't stop us at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think publishing can sometimes feel like an incredibly isolating experience, because so much of it is over email and over computers. And so we're always going to be trying to find ways to connect. We're always going to be kind of fighting that isolation and that loneliness that's inherently part of the industry to come together and work together and collaborate.
And, you know, Scott Lord, he recently wrote a piece for So Booking Cool. I'm glad we got to coordinate on making that happen, about romance and the representation of that at a certain age. Olivia, what are your thoughts on that?
On representation of romance at certain ages, or just Scott Lord in general?
Yes.
Scott Lord is an incredible author. We're actually working with Greenleaf Book Group, his publisher, and him right now. And he's been really great about speaking up about writing from different ages and perspective. I think we see a lot in romance storylines and tropes. We see a lot of younger couples, and we're not necessarily talking about what it looks like later in life to refine that love, to reconnect. But love isn't limited to anyone. And so I love to see him speaking up about representation for age. We have other authors that speak up representation in all areas of publishing and writing. I mean, we really do try and elevate those voices and perspectives. And that's why we try and find great places like So Book and Cool for them to be able to speak up and share their thoughts, their expertise, and their experiences. So I'm really glad that Scott was able to write that piece. And it was beautiful. I was tearing up a little bit editing it. It was just gorgeous, but he's an incredible writer and with an incredible voice. So thank you for sharing that, though. That was really nice. We were so excited about that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, thank you. And I've gotten feedback on my end too about the article.
Oh,
and I can't wait to talk to him on here too.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
All right. So Olivia, you did mention, at once before, you became a force in publishing and everything. You did briefly dream about becoming a pop star. I want to know, are there any songs that you would like to see be told in book form that you would love to promote?
I've never thought about that. Back in the day, I was a huge Avril Lavigne fan. I'm still a huge Avril Lavigne fan. I would love to see, and I'm sure it exists somewhere, I would love to see a Skater Boy romance. That would be so much fun. I know that it exists. I just haven't personally seen it labeled as an Avril Lavigne fan fiction, but that would be incredible. That would be so much fun to work with.
It sure would. Wow, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Do you think books tend to be better than the movie and television adaptations?
Asking the hard-hitting questions here. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say books are better. I mean, I'm one of the people that I see it, I visualize it in my head, so it kind of plays out like a movie. And I like having some control over what they look like, what they sound like. And so I'm not always thrilled to be told what they look like and sound like. So I'm leaning towards books are better, but I'm not going to judge anyone that thinks that a movie or show is better. I mean, I'm really excited to see Red, White, and Royal Blue come out on Amazon Prime. I'm a huge Casey McQuiston fan. So in the office, we've been excited about that one. So we're still going to watch everything, but we're going to maybe hold out just a little bit of our expectations for it.
So Olivia, you don't see yourself at all writing a book?
Oh, I do a lot of writing for work. I write blog posts. I help out with newsletter content. I write social media copy. I do a lot of writing for authors too, as far as press releases and pitches go. I do a lot of editing of their works. So I already feel like that writing piece, that writing need is fulfilled in a way. I think if I personally were to publish anything as far as a book goes, it would be probably some kind of nonfiction publishing guide or advice, because that's just where I spend most of my time learning about it, reading about it, and I really enjoy writing about it. And I feel like that's value that I can bring to someone else. As far as fiction goes, I'm happy to leave that to the experts. They're way more creative than I am.
Well, you'd be perfect to write that nonfiction guide.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yes, of course, Olivia. Wow, Olivia McCoy. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on So Book and Cool. You're So Book and Cool, Olivia.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome. And let everyone know the best way to keep up with you and check out, of course, Smith Publicity's All Things Book Marketing, the podcast, and your awesome authors. Yeah,
so you can listen to All Things Book Marketing anywhere that you consume podcasts. So we're on Spreaker, we're on iTunes. We also started publishing our interviews on YouTube, so you can watch us talk if you want. I mean, see my lovely face again. We do have a blog and a newsletter at smithpublicity.com. You can always reach out at info@smithpublicity.com too if you have any questions. Follow us everywhere on social media at Smith Publicity. We're on Threads, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, truly everywhere. So we'd love to connect and learn more about you. And then you can see some of our runs and what our authors are up to too.
Perfect. Make sure you all do that. Okay. And until next time, so booking cool.
Thank you so much.